And Stocktwits Nation, it is Tuesday, September 9th. This is the Daily Rip Live. I'm your host, Katy Perry, here with my pals, Jake Wujastyk and Olivia Vosnenko, the Voz. We have an epic show for you today. How you guys doing this morning?
Wonderful.
I'm stellar.
What did you, Voz, what did you
Stellar.
think of that number, that AI wrestling montage that we just saw?
I thought it was interesting that I got. I don't know. I looked like Barbara Streisand at one point.
Yeah, I think you like tombstoned that guy. I know a tombstone when I see. Jake was just on the side, just staying out of the
Yeah,
mix.
That's smart, Jake. You don't want to mess with that.
Yeah. Do you
I
get
know.
into like scuffles, Jake, or are you like a peacemaker?
I'm generally a peacemaker
Interesting.
for
Didn't
the
see that
most
one.
part. Yeah.
That's strange.
But
I heard you're a Scorpio.
Oh,
no.
oh
I'm not.
he's a Taurus. Don't get it
I-
twisted.
No, we actually still need to figure that who
I
that
have a
J is.
chart. I made a chart of the top 5. We'll get to it after the setups because the people aren't here for my trauma. The people are here for your setups. And I'm glad both of you are here today. But real quick, Jake, how was your epic ski trip?
It was awesome. Definitely the way I kind of describe it is I crossed off a lot of things off the bucket list, but yeah, Chile is an interesting place. Got just literally right off the bat tried to get charged for like $3,000 from my taxi driver.
Oh,
Yeah, it was rough. Yeah, rough start. Thankfully, Chase is pretty good at letting you know that someone's trying to scam you. So
yeah. Shout
clearly
out to-
didn't Google issues to potentially run into when getting to Chile at the airport. So
Dear
now we
Googling.
know though. Now we know though. So
Yeah.
don't take a taxi from some guy who's trying to befriend you right out of the gate.
Oh
So,
yeah. I mean, that's like 101, Jake. When you get
yeah,
off
I
the
know.
plane, that you
I
don't
was,
go with the first guy that comes up to you. That's like
yeah.
it's
Well,
like
I was in a group of.
rudimentary.
It was 3 of us, all right. So it wasn't just me.
Okay, some
We
group
were all
think.
caught off guard.
The
You
It was
Voz
guys like
likes
early
to
took
in
a
do
the
that.
selfie
morning.
with him.
Yeah.
And
Nicest people
overnight.
in Chile.
He was in the open door army from Chile, actually.
Brutal. Yeah.
Voz, how was your weekend? We saw you last week.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Good.
Thank you.
What's new in Miami?
Oh, just cocktailing,
Nice.
beaching,
The life.
partying, football. I got Mahomes. I'm happy
Okay.
about. Wish I had Allen. A lot of football.
Are you a Finns fan, or are you, because you're from New Jersey, right? But you're living
Yeah.
down. So
You know what? I'm a lost soul right now.
you
I'm
can
afraid
join
to
the
say
mafia. Join the
Yeah.
mafia.
Okay, deal.
I feel like you have the right energy for it.
I maybe already am.
Yeah.
In it.
Well, amazing. Well, we have a lot to go over today, guys. We have a very trader heavy show for those interested. I'm gonna pop in and out with some headlines. What's going on? We have some interesting things happening. The Murdoch family drama finally reached its dramatic conclusion today, so we'll go over that. Stocks taking higher this morning. We of course are bracing for a potential jobs downgrade. But let's start with the setups. I'm gonna kick it over to you, Vaz, because I know you had some things you shared last week, and you might have some updates on those. So feel free to jump in to wherever you wanted to jump into where we left off last time, and then we're gonna flip over to Jake because I know you got some stuff to share too.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. Come with me over here to Trading Land. We're going to look at some
Ooh.
callbacks from last week. I was on Thursday, and I have a couple that I'm still looking at. So I'd love to throw it to Jake after I go over this group. But first and foremost, we talked about the market and how I believed it was looking a little toppy. This was on Thursday before our jobs report that Friday. And I'm going to screen share because I'm just talking like I'm a professor. So let's do that. And like to put a little visual there. But anyway, before the jobs report, Katie, we were talking about how I thought the market was looking a little toppy, which I know anyone can say that. The market's looking toppy, the market's looking toppy. But as an options trader, I need to be right pretty quickly. So I'm just noticing some inefficiencies as we trade at all-time highs. I get it, guys. But around here, we need to have, as I'm looking at the SPY, that's the S&P 500 ETF, let me do me. It's basically the market. And I'm noticing that this consolidation is almost acting like a broadening pattern, which usually will suck momentum out unless we need a catalyst, and we need that to break out quickly. Gap ups and sustaining gap ups or blue sky breakouts, as some people like to call it, that is what's going to sustain bullish momentum, upside channel. The next day, I see the market gaps up on non-farm payrolls, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they probably think I'm a clown, which is fine, frequently wrong, but never uncertain. But what you noticed is we quickly gave that gap up, quickly ate it away. And so when you start to see this in earnings, if you have a significant stock that gaps up and then they give it away, or something like a catalyst, non-farm payrolls, little bit of a gap up, gave it away. This is showing me, again, that big M word, that we need more momentum here. And it's the bulls and the bears are fighting. So the bulls got away with it, and now the bears are showing their strength. So I just feel like it's a bit toppy here. And what we need, though, is a catalyst. It's not going to be some slow breakout or slow breakdown. When you're trading in this sort of consolidation, this breathy consolidation, we're looking for a movement, and we need it quickly. So to the upside, we certainly need it quickly, unless there's some sort of uncertain, unmitigated disaster overnight, or something with tariffs, or who knows, serve the platter. There's tons of things to give us a gap down. I want to go over from some stocks from last week. We had, I think I kept calling it climate, CLMT. This was a stock that was, let's see, I was here on Thursday. Okay, yes. This was a stock we were watching consolidate. It's one of my favorite patterns. It's the easiest pattern. It's a straight up bull flag pennant consolidation. That's that jack in the box that we were discussing, Katie. And we saw on earlier that week, it started to break out, and we had the options were sick, and we had a great continuation of that on Friday. So that was one of climate, although it's calumet. Nice breakout there. So I believe we were talking about some options here. If anyone wants to interject, or is this just the Voz solo show?
Yeah,
I don't know. Okay. I don't want to go.
You were cooking. We're letting you cook.
I am.
Jake, any thoughts on these? If not, we can turn to China, because I know you both were watching different companies within that trade.
Wait, can I nerd out with Jake real quick? I'm sorry.
Please. That's why you're here.
Okay, if he can interject, let's talk about the S&P 500, Jake, because I know you watch volume profile, and I know you see what I'm seeing. There's a bunch of thin zones and gaps here. What do you think about the market right now, and how are you translating that into some potential breakdowns or breakouts?
Yeah, well, so the daily candle's a little noisy right now. If you go to the weekly, you kind of get a little bit of a better idea of how things look. And if you anchored the volume profile there from the April low, you've got a lot of volume supporting price up here. So, I think a lot of people are, and honestly, I'm kind of the same way. I was going into April, I was scarred from last year when we had that Japan just like absolute took out the entire market. So I think we're still kind of just climbing the wall of worry a bit. I think everyone thought August was going to be horrible, and it really wasn't. And then September is like the next one everyone thinks is going to be bad. And it's like, so far we're not too far into it, but that's a huge volume profile, volume shelf that price is kind of hanging out on right now. So as far as the market goes, I'm just kind of letting price action. Somebody asked me yesterday, what do you think is going to happen when the market, or when FOMC? I'm like, I have no idea. You just kind of have to follow price action. So that's really what's kind of kept. And Brian, I get this from Brian Shannon, just looking at price action just kind of keeps you honest. If you start throwing opinions in there, you can definitely have opinions on a technical setup and stuff, but I have no idea what's going to happen with FOMC. I think the market's more likely to front run the entire event versus sell off, but I'm not sure. I just traded China pretty heavily last year around this time of year, and if we did get a pullback, maybe that's where money will rotate. But yeah, I mean the U.S. markets are just kind of continuing that wall of worry grind up type move.
When
Yeah.
you oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say Katie was asking you about China. Take it away.
Yeah, well, so let's see, share screen.
By the way, I like the wall of worry. That's
Yeah,
good.
it's just
Is that a
classic.
Jakeism, or is that a
No.
universally you're not gonna TM that?
No, definitely not.
Damn.
Yeah, so I mean, we've kind of been discussing the sorry, Mocha's over here just wanting to say hello.
Mocha's back.
Oh, don't say that. He's gonna start barking.
Oh, Mocha's a man?
Yeah.
Oh, that changes
Oh.
everything. I was kidding.
Tight, bud.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
so
thought it was like a little Mocha, like a little girl.
oh
Okay,
no,
Mocha's a dude.
he's like a
Noted.
very
Mocha.
Yeah.
large dog that loves attention. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's like, well, if you pet me, then I'll stop sounding like a creaking door.
Oh.
I don't know if you can hear him just whining, but so this is, I think we've had this chart up for the last month, maybe more. And the reason is because it's a monthly chart. So it's definitely progressing. We had the breakout here in July. August is when we kind of hit a new high, but this is what I'm really liking here. We're finally starting to see the thesis play out. We're starting to move into this volume gap. BABA has already made the move. Baidu has already made the move. And the thing is I shared Baidu maybe 2 months ago, and I shared a monthly chart of I think I even shared a quarterly chart. That means that each candle's 3 months. And like the next week, people are like, well, why hasn't it moved yet? I'm like, well, because it's a monthly chart or a quarterly chart. It's, even one candle is going to be a month. So, anyways, it finally moved. I think it hit 110 yesterday. So that was a nice move. I got out of that to play BABA. I'm not sure which one would have yielded. I think BABA probably still yielded a little more. And sometimes, it's opportunity cost, right? Do I play Baidu? The problem with Baidu is if you're trading options, it's not it's not the most liquid options chain. So, I initially had shares on that, where BABA, I don't have to put as much capital up front, and the options chain is very liquid. So that's kind of why I went with BABA. And now, as we were talking about in the before we went live, China's just got this thing where it does this musical chairs type thing, right? So it's generally, I know PDD is in the mix there too, but the main three I look at are BABA, Baidu, JD. Last year, pretty sure it was Baidu or JD started the move back in September, and then BABA kind of was the last one to go. This time, BABA is definitely up. I think it's at was 145 overnight, so it's had a massive move from the 106 low. And I think you're just going to see, money rotate in. I think you're going to see I don't know what the news event is going to be to trigger this, but you've just got this massive gap here. So price can move very quickly through this gap. And I think that's when JD is going to really start to catch a bid here, because JD has really just been compressing for quite some time. And, I have this graphic here. This is from Robinhood. I don't even know what time frame this is, but you can just see the compression here. And the compression is just these wicks, and these candles are just getting smaller, kind of like a spring, and that we're finally getting that candle here. So, I don't even think that's a month. It's a monthly candle, but I was looking last night. They start the candle like in mid-month. So I think this current candle is from like August 15th going into September 15th. But either way, you can just see this compression going on. So if you go to the well, let's start with BABA here, right? So there's this very interesting kind of pattern and this signal that I see a lot. And BABA took a little bit of time for it to happen. This is a weekly candle chart. And you can see here, it's a pretty simple signal, right? So the MACD starts to curl up, starts to cross. The Williams percent range has to be overbought. And when the Williams percent range is overbought, it's more of a momentum signal versus like it's telling you that the move's about to happen. And then you can kind of cross-reference the RSI. So whenever the RSI is still not overbought, that's when okay, percent range is signaling the momentum, RSI showing you have more room to move up. And then generally when the RSI and the percent range are both overbought at the same time, that's generally when you get your top. And that's kind of what happened back here. This back in February. So now we have the same thing. MACD starting to move up. RSI is definitely getting a little overheated, but my point of showing this, it wasn't for BABA. It was actually for JD because we are in the early innings of what we just went over here on BABA, right? So same thing. You've got MACD, and this is kind of eerie, or just crazy how similar these patterns are at the same time of year. So this was back in September of last year. Same exact thing. MACD's curling up, starting to almost cross. Williams percent range is getting overbought, but the RSI was still in this area where it wasn't overheated. So now, same thing. This is the second week of September. MACD's crossing to the upside. Percent range is signaling here, and the RSI has room to move up. So, I would, and you've got divergence on the RSI, right? So what I mean by that is you're kind of hitting these kind of grinding lower to these lower lows, and you've got these higher lows on the RSI. So, I think this is probably about to make, and when JD moves, it moves extremely fast. That's just kind of the personality of this stock. So, Voz, have you been watching this one? I know you mentioned PDD.
Yeah. Well, now who's PDD who? Now all my eyes, all 5 of my eyes are on BABA. Yeah, Jay, check this out.
Yeah, if you just want to share yours.
I easy. Let's not get emotional here. Okay. So pulling this aside, Jake, and going back in history, and kind of like what I was discussing with the first stock, the throwback to CLMT, we have a consolidation that failed in March, like we were talking about. March scared everyone. This failed. This was supposed to break out. I mean, you can kind of, I'm just eyeballing it. I'm not drawing it perfectly, but this was a pretty big consolidation to break out. It failed. And one of my favorite patterns to trade is when a failed breakout makes a comeback, because normally if it can take over that with volume, it can scream higher. I know you mentioned JD can move with a lot of velocity. I see that with BABA just from this setup. And if you go back, that same pattern in September, here we go. I'm going to go back even further from October 2024. We had that. It was supposed to break out. I mean, technically, you had a nice run up, consolidation, bull flag, you had volume. It failed. But look what happened when we retook that. Exploded higher. Same thing. We failed. And now we're trying to retake that initial breakout. You have a lot of volume kicking in. I think this is going to scream higher. The question is, how do you pull a price target from this? I like to use, I like to just kind of take it from the measured move from the pennant. We're looking at like a 159 print on BABA. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, the main thing I'm looking at right now, and honestly, you said what, 159?
Yeah.
You've got and most of the time when I'm looking at targets, I just use the gap. So there is a gap at 161. There's a gap here at 141 as well, which I'm not sure what Baba's doing pre-market, but I think it's up quite a bit. So that will probably fill. But yeah, I mean, I'd say generally if I'm looking at a target, I'd like do like a couple percent. So 159 to 161 would make a ton of sense to me here.
So with this is interesting stuff because there was some news out yesterday on China exports being way down. But obviously you guys are looking at the technicals, and then there's obviously more headwinds for China on a longer term basis. JD is an interesting one too. That's Jay, you mentioned that one moving fast. I think I read somewhere that that's about 50% retail ownership. So that could be part of the reason it's got a lot of people like us trading in and out of it. They are in a very competitive space in China, moving into sort of the real time delivery space and groceries. BABA, I believe, just announced $100 million investment in humanoid robots, which is the thing now. So similar to what we're seeing on Amazon on longer term trends. But of course, all of that is on a longer time horizon than what you guys are looking at here in the patterns. Vaz, on Pinduoduo, do you want to quickly recap your thoughts on that one, or you're on to the next?
Yeah, I mean, last week I was just sniffing it out, and it looked
Yeah.
really interesting to me. So I think that opened the doors to the China trade, and
Yep.
I think better than Pinduoduo, really. I'm convinced, Jake. I'm joining your cult. I'll drink whatever you give me, as long as
Perfect.
it's like a reserve.
It,
Well,
Um,
well,
Baba
the
and
thing,
JD look really good, and the options chain is sick for Baba
well,
at least.
yeah, I like so I think we discussed this when I was on one of the first shows with Shy, but I just kind of try to look for what has moved and what is likely going to follow. So, people ask me why I trade the leader, and Baba is clearly the leader. I played it on the earnings gap up, sold, my target hit, so I was like, I'm out. So if Baba is kind of leading, I want to find what hasn't moved yet. And like I said, China just has this weird kind of musical chairs thing where it's one leads, next one follows, and then the next one. So, um, I think from that perspective, JD is really just the one that hasn't moved yet. I've actually played this multiple times where it is the laggard. Back, I can't remember the last time I traded. It was right before earnings, and same thing. I think it gapped up. It had moved from like 33.50 or so up to like 37.50. So I'm not sure how big the move is, but if we do compare, just the last time this happened, I mean, and I remember this, I'm like, oh, it's 27. I'm gonna sell it at um I'm going to sell it at 29, thinking I'm a genius. And that's at 47, like 10 days later. So I had missed a lot of this move that happened back literally almost exactly a year ago. Do I think we're going to have a candle that goes from 29 to 39 in a week? I.e., that would probably be, that would mean this would be like 41 by this week or next week. That'd be pretty intense. But like I said, this thing just moves really fast, and it hasn't really. It kind of just trades in its own world. So if you're just looking at the technicals are all aligning here, and that's why I'm taking JD versus anything else. PDD, we can look at that real quick, just because I haven't seen really what it's doing. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think I've just seen too many Timu ads. I just don't really believe. Yeah, I don't know. It's allowing me to kind of use personal experiences about the company to make decisions about the stock, which is never always a good thing. But I mean, here, same thing. You've got the volume shelf. This actually looks pretty good here. Volume shelf, this is where volume has been aggregating. I'm anchoring. I'm starting the measurement of where all this volume has taken place since the September high. So pretty much literally a year ago. And look, this did the exact same thing that JD did. It went from 93 all the way to 154 in like 3.5 weeks. So does China, and Katie, did you mention China just had some some news or something? I mean,
their exports are way. I mean, it's not unexpected, but their exports, it was reported yesterday, were way down. I can pull the exact number, but
yeah.
that's
So
these companies, at least to the US.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same exact thing they were talking about last year, right? It was, China's slowing down. Well, then they came out with this massive stimulus. So I'm not really
Yeah.
basing the trade-off. Do I think stimulus is definitely going to be announced? But I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what the trigger is
Yeah.
going to be for HSI, because you just have this massive volume gap here, and I just,
Yeah.
but yeah. So
Yeah, that said their exports growth hit a 6-month low to the U.S. They were down 33%. They're obviously ramping up in other markets, but the U.S. is pretty
okay,
important.
yeah,
So tariffs working as intended there, but to your point, sometimes it's not uncommon for the Chinese government to step in and pump some stimulus into that
yeah,
economy.
and I mean the market could move literally on anticipation of them potentially doing that. So
Yep.
is that the trigger? I'm not sure. But as far as like
Mhm.
the setup goes, it's there. The actual index is in a position to move extremely fast and strong. And then on top of that, you've just got the laggard JD here. So PDD also looks good though. I mean, if I were to look for a setup, this is it. And you've got kind of this bull flag type setup kind of forming here too. So if you look at this, it's definitely not perfect. I just want to kind of more or less show the flag here. But yeah, you've got a flag, you've got the volume shelf, price is starting to move up. Mocha may try to
Jake, I like that
further
on the
down.
volume shelf there. I like how the candles are testing it and kind of bouncing off a
Yeah.
really nice hammer candle. Give me a hammer candle and a volume shelf, and I'm in a thin zone, and I'm in.
Yeah. No, I hate gap ups on a weekly chart. So with today's Tuesday, so we filled that gap, the slight gap up yesterday. We kind of, and I think I've mentioned this a couple times, where it almost reminds me of like a rocket, right? So like when a rocket, you like see these SpaceX videos and all that, and when they take it off, whatever is kind of holding it up as the engines are kind of turning on, it kind of like falls down and then propels up once the thrust kicks in. That's kind of how I look at these candles, right? So I just kind of look at that as kind of like a launch candle. It's Tuesday. We haven't even seen price action today, but and so that means there's a lot of time left in this candle, but yeah, it looks pretty solid. So yeah, PDD, JD. I know a lot of people are starting to trade JD. Yesterday, I saw a lot of people mentioning they're starting to trade, short-term, long-term options. Chaz, shout out to Chaz. He's an awesome guy. He's a friend of mine. Generally, when he starts entering the trade, that's really when it starts to move pretty hard. He trades a lot more short-term options. I think he entered like the $32 calls for this week's expiration. I'm not sure if he's still in, but generally when him and I kind of align with a thesis, once he comes in, the market will move pretty quick. So shout out to him for always having some.
Chaz has a lot of power.
Yeah,
He's like God
he's a
mode, just
he's a
making
good
decisions.
analyst.
If your name is Chaz, you have to have overlord energy.
Yeah.
I picture
He
Chaz. He has this giant velvet cape on
Yeah.
with shoulder pads.
He's a very stylish guy, that is for sure.
See, I knew it.
You
probably
have to
know him.
be.
You probably know him. He's I think he changed his handle. It used to be Altitude Chaz, but
Oh, I thought you were about to say. I think he changed his name from Chad to Chaz. And I was like,
no,
yes.
his handle.
I get it. Look, I get it.
But I know, yeah. I mean, he likes to trade China too. So, and then I saw a couple other accounts really starting to kind of jump on China. So yeah. I mean, there are other names out there that I am liking. So I think we discussed Up last time I was on the show. That's one that I'm been adding to pretty much the last.
That
just kind
is
of
Wheels Up, right? Not to be confused with Upstart. Wheels Up, the
Yeah,
private airline taxi thing.
Yeah, kind of like a charter.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, we got a nice move up. This is, and I think I shared this chart last time, and it's a monthly chart, so that's why it hasn't changed too much. But the main thing I wanted to see was price break above this volume shelf. It closed above the volume shelf for the month of August, and you got to pull back. They had like a $50 million at the money offering or something, um, uh, which is essentially ATM. So that means they're kind of diluting as price does its thing. It's not like an ONDS offering where they literally have the entire round closed before they even pretty much come out with the news. So we'll definitely talk about the ONDS offering that just came out this morning, but which to me I don't think is going to matter at all, because they had, price was at $5 last week, and they priced it at $5, and I could probably see that going back over 6, just based on the momentum and the strength of that name. But for up, as I mentioned, they kind of have this ATM going on. Not sure when they're going to close it. But if they do close it, and if they do announce it, I think that's when this thing's really going to take off. Classic just volume shelf setup here. I really like the fact that price pulled back and is kind of retesting the shelf. That's a lot of the time you'll kind of same thing, right? You pull back, you wick, and then you kind of continue up. So the upside target for up continues to be just the July 2021 pivot VWAP zone, ranges from about 465 up to 580. That's right now, right? So if this took a couple months and you have a ton of volume that starts to come in, this is a volume weighted average price. So if price is trading below and there's a lot of volume coming in at prices below what the VWAP is, it's an average, right? So it's going to keep dropping. So if this took until next month to test this VWAP, maybe the VWAP is down at like 425, just because, it's an average. So anytime price is trading below the average, it's going to continue to pull the average down, because the new data coming in is lower than the average. So you're just dropping the average. So I'm not sure what exactly that number would be, if this continued up to move and test this VWAP zone. But I mean, the actual VWAP is way up at 579. So even if this took a few months, I think the VWAP would still be around 550. It just depends on how long this candle takes, or candles take, to move up to test this. But still like this one up. I think they're backed by Delta. So if Delta's kind of backing them, I have a lot more confidence that, it's probably a little more of a turnaround story here. But yeah, no, it's kind of just a thesis based on the monthly candle. A lot of my stuff is. So people get impatient pretty quickly because something doesn't happen immediately. But if you're looking at a monthly time frame, even if it takes 2 or 3 candles to play out, that's 2 or 3 months. So
Jake, it's so funny when traders, we either get too mad that it happened quickly. We get mad that it happened too quickly, or we get mad that it didn't happen fast enough. There's really you
guys are just mad all the time.
You're just mad all the time.
Walking around mad at the world.
Of broken keyboards. I'm sure everyone does. I just use them to play air guitar from time to time.
Amazing.
Really trying not to do that right now live.
Love it.
Well, we had a lot of comments in the chat about FUBO. So I want to reset for a second. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to check that out. Not to put you on the spot. I'm going to go over some headlines. Maybe then we can turn to FUBO, since people got thoughts. And then definitely let's get into ONDS. But let's look at, we have the opening bell 5 minutes ago. Stocks are relatively unchanged. The NASDAQ is trying to build on yesterday's record close, as we talked about at the top of the show. We were waiting August for something terrible to happen. We're in September. So far, so good, but who knows? But we are bracing for 2 really big inflation reports this week that could shape the Fed's next move. CoreWeave was also up 6%. They launched a new AI venture fund. And Nebius surging more than 50% on a cloud deal with Microsoft. Gold is also at record highs. Again, as that weak jobs data fuels bets on rate cuts. We are also today waiting for a potential jobs downgrade from the BLS. They are set to revise employment numbers. Some analysts expect that the U.S. added about 700,000 fewer jobs from March 2024 to 2025. So that would be quite the revision, really reshape the entire picture of the labor market. So it would be just another thing piling on last week's weak jobs reports. Worker confidence, as we've all been reading about, is already cratering. Another study came out today saying basically the same thing as the last like 3 studies that came out. People are hanging on to their jobs for dear life. They are scared to look for jobs. People are sort of playing it safe. So for the Fed, a steep revision could tip the balance toward a potentially larger rate cut. And again, that's happening next week. We also have some dramatic news out of the Fox News family. A couple things going on. One, News Corp is has a lawsuit against Fox, claiming that they're essentially a monopoly on right wing media. But that's sort of in the backdrop of the ongoing Murdoch family drama. I've been following this closely because I love the show Succession. Did you guys watch Succession?
Of course.
Who's your
No.
favorite? Jake, you
Mm,
didn't watch it?
I don't watch a ton of
Oh my God,
TV,
it's
to be
so
honest.
good though. Vaz, who's your favorite sibling?
Kiernan. His name is,
Same.
yeah, of course.
Roman. Yeah.
Yeah, Roman.
He's actually, that's no one ever says that. You're the only other
What?
person yes, people are like, he's
What do you
weird,
think?
he's
No.
gross. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
And yes.
exactly.
Well,
It's so relatable for me. No, I'm just kidding.
it's
He just
Jake,
does
if you don't
phenomenal.
follow the show, it's not based on the family, but it's a similar setup. So they've been duking it out. There's, I think, 4 siblings. You got Rupert Murdoch's 94, still a freaking savage though. So he just struck a deal to buy out 3 of his children. He wants the one, Lachlan, who most aligns with sort of his views, to take over. So he paid off the other 3 siblings 1.1 billion each. Again, like, yeah, I would take the
Ooh.
money. No problem. Enjoy running the media empire, Lachlan. But this has been kind of ongoing back and forth due to sort of like the fine print in the paperwork and his will of like who owns what. So he just decided to cut the check, tell the other 3 kids to bounce, and it's Lachlan's show now. So maybe we need another season of that. I don't know.
They
Congrats
need
to
a
Lachlan
reality
though.
show.
They
Let's
really
just cut
do.
to the chase.
You know, sometimes it's like people like this are actually like so boring, but I feel like these people are not. Like I think there's something to the Succession.
I think it'd be great if they they go through all the documents and then they find that Murdoch lost all his money investing in like rainforest cafes.
Yeah. He's in the Open Door army. He's betting the farm on Open Door.
I really thought it was gonna be
Honestly,
a thing. It's the next Fox.
if I were 94 and had that much money, I would put it all on one thing for the bit, and it would be the most random thing because who cares? He doesn't like 75% of his kids anyway. So whatever.
There you go.
But that's just me. You know, that's just me. All right, let's flip over to FUBO. FUBO is a streaming network focused on sports. I don't know if either of you guys have followed this chart closely or had some thoughts on what we're looking at, because some people in the comments were clamoring to get y'all's opinions on it.
I'll let Vaz go first.
All right. Hang on.
FUBO is just one of those names that same thing, right? It's FUBO. It's got this like kind of becomes a word and meme. And then when it goes down, people like just won't sell it and they won't take the loss. And I don't know. This one this one's always a little tough. So yeah, I mean the technical setup looks decent, but I just feel like it's one people get really attached to.
Yeah, it's a cult following.
Yeah.
How that ends. Well, it can end well. I don't really see any explosive setups. Like Jake said, it's holding support. You have your moving averages, you have your volume shelf. You potentially have this monstrosity, which was probably where all these people bought and it failed. So when something like this can be taken out, you could see a nice blue sky breakout. But I'm looking at the options, I'm looking at big money flow, I'm looking at the technicals. I just don't see it yet. But I'll keep an eye. If you could break some resistance here, the parade might be back.
This
Yeah,
is
it's just a
interesting.
news issue too. I think they've got maybe like the antitrust news, or I can't remember what exactly it is, like the Disney monopoly issue or whatever.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I
interesting
mean,
business. They're trying to just cluster and bundle all of the sports streaming apps into one mega app, like for someone who just watches sports, I guess. I don't know anyone that uses this. I know the bar I go to that
yeah.
streams sports has it. So I'm curious what the breakdown of
Can they
bars.
allow one monopoly, and can it be streaming, please? I
Yeah.
can't even keep up. I would love that. As a citizen of the United States,
Yeah.
I don't care who makes a ton of money on it. It will
Yeah.
convenience me so well. I can't follow the shows. There's Hulu,
I know.
Paramount, Peacock.
Give Voz the state-run media
Yeah, I think
and just go with it.
I think Chaz needs to run it for us.
Yeah.
Probably would.
As long as I get the Hallmark movie channel, I'm happy.
We'll
frankly.
throw that in there too.
Great.
And that, the Yule log.
Force that on everybody. That would be a great executive order. It's like, we are consolidating everything. Channel 1 is the Yule log year round. You will like it.
One thing I'll mention with FUBO, I mean, I posted a chart of it yesterday. I think the setup looks good. Like I said, I just don't. People just get really attached to this stock, and I just don't see the competitive advantage like that they have, because YouTube TV pretty much, it's not the same exact thing. But for me, I don't know. I was on I was listening to their earnings call one time, and one of the executives just used a very weird terminology of, like, trapping people in their subscription, something like that. Not like trapping them, but like just his wording was way off, and it just kind of turned me off, to be honest.
Interesting. One word.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard
Well,
that and I'm like, at
and I'm
least
not
he's
gonna
honest, because
yeah,
that's
well,
what
I'm
they're
not
doing.
gonna well, I'm not gonna put words in his mouth. I don't think it was
Yeah.
trapping, but it was like this kind of like,
And that's the
that's
name
what
of
he
the
was
game with these things.
insinuating, kind of. And
Yeah.
it just felt, I just like,
Well, the
and
sports one is interesting. That's how they get you. There's like one event they have, you buy it, and they just pray you forget to cancel it, or they keep you hanging on for the next one.
yeah,
Maybe that's what he was. But yeah, it's interesting. It is true. Like sometimes the delivery or the tone or even the words just can be like off-putting, and you're like, nah.
yeah. No, honestly, I kind of like, it was the earnings call when the thing tanked like 20%.
Okay.
This was back, I think, during tariffs, so like the market was just really volatile in general. But
Interesting.
yeah, volume shelf setup. Problem is volume shelves don't always work. They're just a setup. But you do have a lot of volume supporting price here. If you go to the daily chart, there is a gap above that could fill. The gap is at 499. So that is an open gap above. That would be my target if this thing did start to move up. But it's gone from 335 up to 415 in the last 2 weeks. So it would make sense just for some profit taking. I'm not sure. I haven't been following this at all. I just had a few people reach out about it. And so from a technical perspective, you've got the volume shelf. Upside target would be 499 if we did get that kind of launch off that area. But I really just stick to a few trades at a time, right? I don't really like to. I just get very distracted if I have more than like 4 trades on. So I'd rather I'd rather just play higher probability, kind of higher conviction setups. And these types of names, I don't know. Same reason why I didn't really like even trade open. I didn't care at all that I missed that entire move. I
You
think
don't like it when other people like things.
I don't like when trades are crowded and then
Yeah,
people get
that's what I
very
was just.
emotional about
Yeah,
their
and
position.
is that kind of just like, a visceral reaction, or is there some logic to that where, okay, people are emotional, this isn't acting rationally, I can't
Well,
apply the same.
if they're emotional, then they're probably like all in or like
Mhm.
very heavy. So if the stock starts moving a specific way and they're too heavy, and one, if people are emotional, that means that they probably don't have any more money to buy the stock. So then it's like, okay, who's the next participant to come in
Mhm.
to create demand for this stock? If you've got like a very dedicated following that's all in, and then all of a sudden there's no more participants coming in to buy the stock because
Yep.
everybody's all in, it's kind of like, just like, you go up fast and you kind of get this marginally
Yep.
diminishing demand, um, kind of just
Yep.
physics type thing that happens. So yeah, doesn't doesn't mean that FUBO can't go up. If I were to like grade it, I would say it's definitely like a B plus setup with the volume shelf, but just it's one of those names that I kind of have
Yeah.
avoided, just
Jake,
because.
I have some setups. Can you grade mine?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Vaz, I was gonna ask you if you get in on the meme stocks or you avoid them like Jake.
If they're interesting.
Yeah, because we were saying last week you have a little bit of different perspective. I remember you telling me like you're very like you're watching a lot of things at once and you're kind of
Yes,
juggling a
on
lot.
one screen. When you
Yeah.
come into my office, I don't have like 7 screens. I mean, sometimes trading gives you arachnophobia. It's like, whoa, man. Yeah, I have if the setup is good and the options chain looks good and I could see that something's going to move pretty quickly, yeah, I'll get in. I don't care if
Yeah.
it's I just don't see FUBO here, but I was in open door.
Mhm.
Open. Yeah, I think we were in let's see. Hold on. Let me
Yeah,
see.
I totally traded it too.
Yeah.
But that
Just
was
look at the
kind of.
chart. It's totally different than FUBO. Let's do a side by side. Side by side.
Ooh, love it.
For
That's
which
a
one?
fancy screen share. How are you gonna?
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't
you
know.
got two windows.
I lied. I can't do a side by side.
I was about to
but
be so impressed. I was like,
just remember who you are. No, remember what you saw here. Check it out. I mean, you had breakout after breakout with really nice volume on the consolidations. So this stock looked more to me like it was going to break out pretty quickly versus something like FUBO. Okay, mentally screenshot. But I have some other ones that I want you guys to check out. It's just, it's not like a squeezer, but I do have a couple. First is ALAB. This one
Okay.
just broke out
Wow,
on.
this is over
This one just
200
broke out
now.
on
Oh
a
my God.
consolidation. I think we talked about this actually, but you had developing volume. So not a volume shelf, but on the volume profile, you had developing volume in a consolidation, which is interesting to me. It can just show you that people are becoming more interested in the stock versus running out of money and not being able to buy the stock. And you just had a breakout of that consolidation. MACD is crossing to the upside. I know it's a $216 stock. So if you like options, you could spread it out. I don't think the options are that expensive though, volatility wise, but I have an upside target of 245 in ALAB.
I think
I can't believe that's
this is a
$200
Stara.
now.
I feel like this is one of the ones Shy watches in his thematic. They do AI, right? I mean, who
They're a
doesn't?
chip maker, right? I think.
Yeah.
They could be
Sorry,
a chocolate
Jake, you were
chip
saying
maker for all I care. I just like this chocolate chip. So that one's on my watch list, and then I
Okay.
also have another one, VFC.
Okay.
You have a consolidation breakout. There was a developing volume node, gap fill. You could see you had the sustaining of a upward channel, momentum breakout. After you had a nice break up, consolidation. You just broke out of that. I see a gap fill and probably reverting back to the 200-day moving average. So this stock is it's under $20. It's trading at 1547. I like this one up to 17.
Interesting.
Very nice. I like it.
We also, yeah, and we have time. So Jake, I know you had similar to Vaz some new ones to share. I'm also curious. We have GameStop earnings this week. I'm curious what that one looks like right now. But Vaz, did you have any more, or should we shift to Jake's new and novel setups? We got time if you got more.
go. Those are my two that I wanted to brag
Right.
about
Love
next
it.
week when they break out.
Yeah, VFC
Right.
looks good with the
There's
gap.
front run bragging here.
Yeah, gap almost at 16 on that. Yeah, well, I definitely want to address ONDS because I know a lot of people are
yes.
thinking about that one.
Smile
Thank
when
God you
say it.
remembered. Would have
Um,
gotten canceled.
like I haven't seen a company have an offering that closes this fast. Like generally, when a company has an offering, they say, yeah, we're gonna do a public offering. We'll price it in the next couple days or whatever. I mean, they just came out with a PR, literally pricing it at 5, pretty much saying it's going to close tomorrow. So to me, that means they literally already had the entire offering sold before it was even announced. So I would say that's pretty bullish. Selfishly, I wouldn't mind it dropping because I'm going to get called on a pretty big amount of my position if this is over $5 by next week. But maybe my $6 calls will just expire worthless, and I can keep some of my shares. But overall, that's why you're seeing this still trading to almost a 10% premium to what the offering price was. The offering price at $5. So if you think about it, they're about to price they're pricing an offering at $5. Price should probably be trading around $5. So it's literally trading at a 10% premium to their last offering that they raised $200 million. So to me, that screams bullish. We'll kind of see what happens the rest of the day, but I mean, it gapped down and pretty much filled the gap. We're back to where it was literally on Friday. So, I don't really know what triggered the move yesterday, why it hit 650. I was kind of in awe, but overall, like, yeah, I think this one, I've had a lot of people, asking about what do I think of the offering. Well, if the price started trading like 475, 485, I'd be worried. But like I said, trading at a 10% premium to what they're raising capital at right now. That is crazy to me. So the fact that they said the offering is going to be closed tomorrow, I think is giving the market confidence that literally somebody just came in and scooped up literally $200 million worth of the stock, and we're totally fine paying almost a 50% premium to what the last offering was at 325. So, big money is starting to price this pretty solid. So we'll see what happens. But, if this is going to close in a day, I just don't really see that as being bearish. So, maybe I would love for this to close at like right around this price next Friday, so I can keep my shares that are tied to the $6 calls. I'm not going to buy them back. I'm just going to, it's the wheel strategy, right? The wheel strategy is you just keep selling covered calls until you get called. And so I'm not going to try and, be a hero and start, buying my calls back to keep my shares. If I get called, I get called. I did $5 and $6 calls for next Friday. So based on this price action, probably going to lose the ones that I have for the $5, but the 6, maybe those are okay now. So
Jake is the stock slumlord, just collecting rent from ONDS.
yeah, this will be the 3rd time I successfully got called on my my shares if the price is over 5 by next week. So we'll see, but the
Also, no
momentum's
one
there.
owns the domain stockslumlord.com. So someone's
buying it right now.
pick
So
that up.
Katie's
That
gonna
dream
buy
is-
it, try to sell
Let
it.
it be me.
okay,
Let it
go
be
for
me.
it.
I'm just gonna hop on GoDaddy real quick. Guys, this has been great. I'm checking in to make sure there's nothing else people need to know before we really get into it today. We have the Apple iPhone 17 event happening later today. A lot of eyeballs on that. My guest yesterday was explaining we should watch for the storage capabilities on those phones more so than the sizzle of will they fold? Are they going to be thinner? I kind of want a thicker phone. I don't know about you guys. I miss like the Nokia like brick. I feel like we got to go back to that. But
Oh.
that event's happening. What'd you say, Jake?
No, man, that brings back memories.
Did you? Yeah, yeah.
I like the
know?
Razor because it was a flip phone, but it was thin, so
Yeah.
you could fit it
Well,
in.
Voz, Motorola re-released a version of the Razor. It was limited edition a few months ago, and it was like chocolate colored. And I was like,
What?
do I? I'm gonna link
missed
you it. I was
that.
like, I might give up my apps for this specific. And it was they were only selling it, I want to say in Europe, but eventually it was coming to the US. I think I'm on a wait list for it.
Okay, cool.
Speaking of apps, well, we got a couple minutes. New study from Bank of America: 53% of men and 54% of women 18 to 28 are spending $0 a month on dating. That's an interesting stat. I don't know if this means like
What does that
dates,
mean?
gifts,
Is it because
apps.
they're not dating or
I
because
think yes. I think people are just phoning it in. I got an ad today for an AI matchmaker app. It seemed a little dystopian. I don't know. This is one of those stats where I'm like, really? But I think, yeah, I'm curious to dig into more of that. But weird times. Like there's a lot of weird economic data coming out, like very specific nuggets that just like reveal certain things. And it's very interesting trying to piece those together.
is Michael Burry shorting dating?
I mean, we should. I mean,
Should.
actually,
Is this
next
gonna be
time
the-
you guys are on, I want to look at like Match. Like those stocks are interesting to me because I think, yeah, Grinder's been crushing. Grinder's the one that's like,
Grinder.
yeah, we'll get into it next time. But like all the dating apps are struggling. Grinder though, ripping. Good
Is
for
it?
them. Is it not ripping anymore? Did I just?
I mean,
If you zoom out, maybe not.
No.
And that just adds on to the thesis.
You know, maybe
Why no one's spending money on dates.
Yeah, even Grinder's down. We're screwed, man. All right, we'll do some dating app setups next time.
That's fun. This has been fun, guys. Thanks for
I
having
know.
me on.
Thanks for hopping on.
This is a treat.
And Vaz, I feel like you're on tomorrow too.
I am. Yeah, you can't get
Okay.
rid of me. I'm like a fungus.
Oh yeah. All right, Jake, and we'll see you next Tuesday, as they say.
Right.
I didn't
think
mean that. I
Jeremy
did not
maybe
mean for that to come out like that. Send our love to Mocha the man dog. And
I
for
will.
everyone else, we'll see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, right here on the Daily Rip Live. Thanks for joining.